So guys, first of all, thank you for surviving through the day and being in this last talk of the day. Very appreciated. I will talk about AI, and especially, I mean, I studied here, actually, like sitting on these chairs as well, computer science, yeah, and then after programming many years, I like slowly moved into data protection and then into legal compliance. I'm now head of legal compliance in an IT company. So I basically kind of oversee all these three areas like computer science, data protection, and legal compliance. And there are many questions which arise right now. And I would like to share with you valuable insights and tips which might help you to implement way better software, also way more competitive. And I would like to start with actually with a small personal story. I went to a friend like a couple of weeks ago to Olten. It's like between Bern and Zurich. And we were sitting at home like with him, drinking some coffee. My cell phone was laying on the table. His cell phone was also somewhere around. And then I went home in the afternoon. It was a brunch. And then what basically happened, so he was telling me during our brunch, he was telling me about this thing. So if you are of the same type as I'm myself, so we sit a lot at computers and we don't move our hands that much, only the fingers, yeah. So if you have a watch which needs to be charged by moving, if you don't go jogging, then this watch will not be charged because you are sitting in the same position the whole time, yeah. So people who sell these watches, they also invented that one. You come home, you put it into this nice device, and it rotates. And in the morning, like in the morning, you have a charged watch again. Yeah, it's for mechanical watches. And he told me basically that he was looking for a good model of that device, and he bought it for a friend of him for birthday. And I was like, okay, good, information taken. I went home on the next day. In my entire browsers, everywhere, I had the ads with this thing. I was quite impressed. Yeah, there are other adjectives to that. At the end of the talk, I will tell you how they actually did it. I mean, the advertisement, yeah, agency ecosystem, yeah. And then, actually, last week, I was in a virtual conference in Washington, D.C., which I actually always attend physically, but Corona, yeah. So it's actually pretty convenient. You don't need to fly. And there was a congressman from American government. He told almost exactly the same story, but his one was a little bit more creepy because he went to visit his parents over the weekend, and the congressman is like around, I don't know, he's in his late 50s, yeah, so the parents are pretty old. And then he came back home after this weekend, and he discovered a lot of advertisement in his browser on the next day, like underwear for retired people. So his mom basically ordered something online, you know, for herself, yeah, and then he had it in his like entire like tabs in Chrome and everywhere, yeah. And as you can imagine, he was not very amused, yeah. So we will talk about how this actually advertisement is doing this and how it's connected to AI. But now, I actually assume that you have internet here. Could you do the following? Could you grab your mobile phone and go on menti.com and enter this code in the upper part, this 27092887. And like in the meantime, I will talk, yeah? So basically, I want to do a couple of exercises with you. The first one we will have a look at, it is Austrian Post. So Austrian Post is this governmental entity which basically delivers packages, yeah, and they have plenty of data, as you can imagine. Yeah, they have like who is sending which and receiving which packages and so on, and they also managed to collect additional attributes per person, and they also did quite many estimates. Estimation about how often you would receive packages, and also estimations about something which is connected. Because, unfortunately, if you look deeper into data science, then depending on which type of packages you receive from which companies, you can even predict political beliefs of the person, not only the age and so on. Yeah, and then they basically computed this stuff, and they started to sell it to third parties. And the question is like, if you would be like in their place there, yeah, would you allow such processing? And I'll quickly, I'm not sure if it's, yeah, I need to press on that one, I think, yeah, for that one, yeah, present, yeah. Okay, good. Can you now enter something there on the mobile phone? Yeah? Could you just enter, it only allows like for 2-3 words, yeah? Enter your opinion, like, are they allowed to do that or not, the Austrian Post? To take these estimations, to take these attributes and sell it to third parties for advertisement purposes. iPad? Okay, thanks for testing. Good. So there are many people who think, okay, no, yeah. There are many people who think yes. We don't have too much time, but one person, could you just quickly, like the one who would say it is yes, one sentence, why you think it's permissible? Don't worry. I mean, we're just exercising. Yeah, I'll tell you the details afterwards.
If they reserve the right to do it, I think they can.
Reserved means?
Well, somewhere you accepted that they potentially do this.
Okay, good one. So if they reserve the right so that the people can like accepted this, yeah, then they are allowed. Okay, and the one who says no. Just one sentence, guys. Tell why you think they are not allowed to do that.
Personal data for commercial purposes.
Yeah, and more specifically, it's like personal data not for commercial purposes, but more specifically not for the main purpose. Yeah. So the main purpose is deliver the packages. Yeah. So if I switch back to, can I at all? Okay, it's good. Actually, these guys, I mean the Austrian Post, they were not only not allowed to do that, but they actually won a fine of 18 million from the European government, and also Big Brother award. So if you go to the website bigbrotherawards.de, you will find plenty of examples where people really mess up with privacy. Yeah, and the reason for that is the following. First of all, if you process the data, their main purpose is to deliver you the packages. This kind of advertisement definitely doesn't belong to their main duties, yeah? And that's why if they do this, they really have to inform people, and because it's not the main purpose, they have to collect a real consent. And it goes even more further, because it's about personal beliefs in like political assessment, yeah, your political affinity. For that purpose, they actually have to collect this kind of called double consent, so that you are really sure, yeah, that you know that what you have agreed to, and also like health data and so on belongs into the same category. Yeah. So and their argument was very interesting, and here now we are in the area of data science. They basically argued in the court that it's only estimates. It's not the real data, because we didn't ask people for their political beliefs. We only estimated that. Also, the age is estimated and so on. And the European government was like, yeah, good try, yeah. Because estimates can be very, very exact. So, like, guys, don't mess up with that. So, the next one, we'll do the same test. A company estimated on a zip code level, they estimated that people in particular zip codes, they had a higher probability to get certain sicknesses than in other zip codes. So they knew particularly, it was actually connected with pollution. They knew that there are certain types of cancer in particular areas which were higher, like the probability was higher than in another regions, yeah? And they took quite some data, like they combined it and so on. And the question is now, are they allowed to do that? Yeah, and we basically do the same test here for that one. Try to estimate it on Menti. What do you think about it? Thanks for Russian. I mean, this is yes. Okay, so I assume like if a patients give consent, yeah? Okay, yes. There is a small no here. Consent, yeah. Okay, it goes in the same direction. Unfortunately, the answer is not black and white in this case, because they have combined actually publicly available data, and because this data was already anonymous, you could not claim that, oh, okay, you need to go to a single individual and ask for consent. So you would say, oh, okay, yes, they could do it, yeah, because as long as the data is anonymous, data protection law do not apply, so you are free, yeah. The problem is that data protection law still applies if you harm individuals. And here is an example. So you take the data that here in this region the cancer is higher, and you go and you tell it to health organizations or to the doctor of these people and say, hey, they need to go and check them more often, yeah? Or you go and sell this data to insurance companies and they raise the payment, the monthly payment for insurance in this particular region, yeah? So in the second case, you would harm individuals, so ciao. Yeah, it's not allowed, even if the data is anonymous. So what we learn is takeaway. It's very, very, very important because many companies mess up with that. Even anonymous data may harm individuals. Look at the usage. Okay, and we do the last test. Now, the definition of AI. Could you tell me what is AI? So try to guess there. What do you think? So there are these all possible variants, yeah. So what out of all that supervised learning, unsupervised, can be classified as AI, and what is not?
I'm sorry, is it supposed to be multiple choice?
Yeah, it is. It's not.
I can only pick one. Yeah.
Okay, pick your favorite. We will see which one will not be picked. It's strange. It should be okay. Just setup of the system. Sorry for that. So, do I need to press? It will automatically show now the results. Yeah. Time's up. Okay. So there is something like okay, expert systems here. Yeah, that didn't get any vote, but still. Guys, what I found very interesting is that there are some movements trying to regulate AI, yeah, and of course, before you try to regulate something, you need to agree on a definition. And the problem is that the European government, they went out and they said, okay, good, let's formulate what AI is, and what do these people do if they don't want to be too precise? Yeah, they make it too generic. So, okay, supervised learning, unsupervised learning, we kind of agree, yeah. Expert systems means you do some type of profiling, also kind of, yeah. Statistical approaches, AI, okay, depends, yeah. I mean, if you just apply some interpolation, is it already AI? I'm not quite sure, yeah. Search methods, I think this is like, I don't know why they put it here. They could have put it like Google, yeah, trying to regulate Google. And Bayesian estimation. So all that is basically taken from the proposal of the regulation of the European Union, which will go into effect in 2 years. And now it's like only the small things are being debated, yeah? Okay. As you can see, this is the quote from the regulation, yeah? So basically, you get it, yeah? Everything is AI, more or less. Yeah, and if you taking jokes aside, according to the scientific studies right now, there will be almost no single company not doing AI in 20 years. Like even, Post is doing that, like health organizations are doing that. Everybody will do some kind of AI. That's why it's very interesting and important to understand what is it. So, have a look. What European government thinks about it is that AI, they say, yeah, it can bring really a lot of good things for citizens. Yeah, you get your packages faster, you get your insurance and everything. Yeah, but it also creates risks. And because we mess up sometimes with algorithms, with test data, with whatever else, risks may be very significant. So the whole effort actually in regulating AI is highly concentrated on regulating high-risk AI applications. And there are not many of them. Yeah, so I will show you a couple of examples. Yeah, the problem is now that the entire industry, and I don't know how far you can feel it in the industry, but because we work like StarMind company where I work, we work with big corporations. You see a clear demand for more educated data security and data privacy people. Like in Switzerland, almost no single hospital has a well-educated security person in-house. They leverage some kind of service from outside, yeah, but it's not sufficient. It's health data. A bit scary, So when you talk about AI, yeah, many people, especially consumers, who did not study computer science as you, or majority of you, they don't understand the word, they don't understand the application, they look at AI like at a little bit like a big scary thing, yeah? And actually, I found a good picture for that, I think.
Even though crocodiles are extremely scary, watching them floating underwater kind of takes a bit of the scare factor out of it.
So, this is my personal experience with working with companies like Roche, Novartis, German Railways, and so on. Yeah, so you basically go there. We didn't show them the crocodile. You go there and you start talking about AI, and they have people in privacy, in security. They have worker council. I mean, if you don't know who worker council is, your life is great. Believe me. It's people who are in the company, and they are very worried that your software may harm employees in the sense your AI will estimate something and then the person will get fired. Yeah, so disadvantage of employees. This is worker council. So because they don't understand it, they usually block, and then there is a business person in a bank or in an insurance company, and they're like, we need it. We really terribly need it. We're missing this train. Like, look on China. They are progressing like crazy, Look in the US. In the US, you're like, yeah, okay. Some laws are emerging there as well, yeah, but still, you are very free in the US, yeah. Let's just speed up. And the guy's like, yeah, let's take it slow. I want to understand, yeah. So they look at a crocodile, and I don't want to tell. I mean, Facebook, their algorithms are quite a crocodile, yeah. There are a couple of videos what they are doing. On profiling and on unethical profiling for Instagram and so on, yeah? So, how to deal with that? How to create this feeling on a customer side, yeah? First of all, you need this feeling inside of the company for you. And, guys, believe me, if you would have time, I would take something between 4 to 8 hours to explain you the basics in legal environment regarding data privacy and security compliance around AI. Yeah, no time for that. And especially, even if I would do that, we will close these rooms, and for 8 hours. Yeah, 2 weeks later, you will not be able to reproduce that, and it's pretty normal biological. Yeah, so for everyday work, we need simple concepts. Of course, you need a lawyer in-house who will check on details, yeah, but we use, also in my company, and when I advise other companies, we use data privacy mantra. It's very simple. Say what you do what you say, don't surprise the user. So have a look at the example of Austrian Post. Did they say what they did, even assuming that they have put it somewhere in terms and conditions? Yeah, who have ever read terms and conditions to the end? Yeah, so it's not transparency. Yeah, they didn't do what they said. Not only deliver packages, yeah, and they definitely surprised users. I mean, it was a pretty big mess a couple of years ago. It was a year ago, I think. Yeah. So, but sometimes this helps in a common sense case, yeah, and there are many common sense, like reasonable people, yeah, but there are some people who are incentivized in a different way, so they are not stupid or something else, yeah, they are incentivized in a different way. For example, money. Business wants to make money, so they basically come to you and say, Austrian example, I will take the same one, yeah, they would say, no, but we put it into the terms and conditions, yeah, so they basically accepted it, and now you start to argue, yeah, because did we actually say what, yeah? Then this mantra has to be refined. So in this case, when mantra doesn't help and you have such a discussion, and this is what our software engineers, I mean, really, we use it in the company a lot, namely, it is the creepiness test. So you basically go and ask, like you sit at the table with data scientists, with IT specialists, and you ask, if you would put yourself on a place of this person, you are an Austrian citizen. Yeah, I mean, we all live here in Switzerland. Yeah, assuming you are here, you get your packages delivered. Yeah, and then you will finally find out that your Swiss post is estimating your political beliefs and like right, left, green, you know, like SVP and so on, and they would sell it to advertisement. Will you feel like it's a little bit creepy? I would assume majority will be, yeah? So we really challenge that on like, okay, does what we want to do fulfill the creepiness test, yes or no? So, and then, now, the level of risk is really crucial. So actually the EU did a great job by making it very transparent. So what they basically say is that there are these two lower levels here, minimal risk, limited risk, yeah? So here is like, if you have a spam filter, it helps you. It doesn't tell anyone anything else, yeah? If you have like limited risk here, if you have a like chatbot which basically tries to reduce the manual effort, yeah, but it also doesn't introduce harm, you can still say, okay, I want to talk to a human, yeah? It's a limited risk. So this is the category where the majority of applications will be also. But there will be unacceptable risk. They also put it very transparently. So, for example, what works in China would not work in the European Union. It's massive, uncontrolled surveillance in public places. So, put the cameras and start to identify faces without any purpose, yeah, and keep this data for forever. This is currently possible. But there are some adjustments in a data protection law of China, which they released recently, yeah. So, and the critical one is actually here, the high risk. So imagine you would go into a company that would implement AI, like machine learning, you know, neural network, to estimate something about sicknesses of people. You would analyze health data. Or you would work in an insurance, and you would estimate the insurance, you know, like the category, yeah? You will be definitely in a high risk. And then there is like more information on how to treat high risk applications. But the major message here is whenever you do some AI, deep learning, machine learning, supervised, unsupervised learning, you really need to understand the level of risk of your application to the individual people. And it's not only the algorithm itself, but it's also how we use the data, yeah? So, and now there are basically three major concerns of people. People being customer, so you are a customer of Instagram, and it's B2C, like business to customer, yeah? And B2B is like when your customer is a company, yeah? There are three major concerns. So one of them is panic by negligence. So when people don't understand AI or your product, I mean, many are questioning what Instagram is doing with our data, yeah? They would rather panic too much, and if you get into the media, I mean, for Facebook, everything works, yeah? But if you're a smaller company, it can clean you away very quickly. Then the second one is panic by misinformation, because there is so much, you know, like if you read TechCrunch, it's okay, but there are so many yellow pages which don't look very yellow. if customers will read, or I mean, your business customers will read false information, they will misinterpret it, and sometimes even in a business process, you will not get there. So you will not get even to the possibility to explain them how beautiful everything is because they will turn down the project before. And the last one is panic by misinterpretation. Because of the lack of the experts, there are many people who try to read even laws, they try to read opinions, they try to read like more specific, papers, and they build their own opinion, and very often, I mean, I bump into that in my really daily practice, they misinterpret the law, regulation, they misinterpret what the European Commission told about certain aspects of profiling and so on. What is the recipe for that? The recipe is, whenever you do your AI algorithm, I mean, when you implement it, you are at the core. So you need to explain in your company all the details and figure out how you actually communicate it transparently to remove this risk, to remove all these 3 risks actually. And you also need to have somewhere in the background a recipe, a method, how to address, so what will you tell to a company if they will come to you and say, how do you address the risk of bias? How to address a risk of, like misinterpretation and so on. We'll have a look at that. And now the truth of life. What does this have to do with AI? This is not artificial intelligence, but there are 3 categories of companies on this picture. The first one is they are getting cut here. This is, I mean, by nature, just because they are big, Google, Facebook, and so on, they are here. Instagram got fined for their intransparency for 225 million in July, and they are very unhappy because they feel they are singled out, and they are. But in Europe, they had to start somewhere, so they will not start with your startup. They will go after these guys, who are exposed a lot, they have money. Then there are the second group. This is this one here. And this is the truth of life, is that you want to be this size here of risk, this size of measures and so on, everything which is required, but just not too much. Because if you will go and polish your ground up to the 0, you will spend entire money which your company has, you will document your company to death and everything, and in the meantime, your competitors will do money. They will do profit, and you will just exercise on your like perfect compliance, perfect AI, So you don't. This is the category of companies and products which are not creepy, and you want to be in this category. So why actually? So if I take that one, why this is not only the truth of life in commercial sense, but why is it actually required even? Because full transparency is not good for companies. This is the company that provides full transparency because it feels like the bee is against the honey. You kind of, like the laws and regulations tell you need to be transparent. You have to tell everything to the user. And you're like, guys, come on. Will I put my coefficients and input data of my entire like neural network model on the web? I will be fully transparent. And then your entire unique selling proposition and IP will be just on your homepage. I mean, nobody is doing that. So the recipe for this transparency is to address concerns of the people and don't try to tell everything what you have. So you work backwards. You feel, okay, good. What may be the concerns of my customers? And that's why I will tell them. And I mean, 99% of customers of Instagram or of your note-taking app, they're not interested in parameters of the neural network, Okay, good. So the key risks, So when you work backward, you work the following way. You say, okay, good. What is the major risk? The major risk is actually really that you will harm the individual, especially if you work with health data. If you make an automatic decision making, a diagnosis, it will be wrong. The person will get the wrong pills and will die. That's a pretty big harm. So you need to see what your application is doing in AI area, what are the decisions which you take, and do you actually, can you harm individuals? Yeah, if yes, you need to address it. And then the second question is, you need to ask yourself, who can go after me? Like if, in general, yeah? And there are three categories. The one is, they call it, I mean, come on, data subject. Yeah, they call people in the law, they call data subject. It's a very unpersonal, I think. So data subject is person. Yeah. So if I'm not sure if you know the name Mr. Schrem. It's an Austrian citizen who filed a claim against Facebook with Irish Data Protection Authority. He won this claim, so he was basically claiming that Facebook is not taking care enough when transferring European data to the United States. So he filed this claim. European court looked at that, and afterwards all companies in entire Europe had the problem because European court said, yes, it's true, between Europe and US there is no real secure mechanism how to transfer the data, and everybody, like for 6 months, nobody knew what to do. So even if you mess up with one single person, yeah, that might hurt. So you need to ensure that the person doesn't feel you are doing creepy things. So then, Data Protection Authority, if you don't know who they are, again, your life is good. They exist in Switzerland, it's EDIOP. They exist in every state in Germany. And there is also the main in Germany, yeah, but in other European countries, there is only one per country. So they basically know, they pick, they pick, oh, a big company, a lot of money, yeah, will be a big showcase, ta-tam, yeah. But they also go after smaller companies. So very, very simple example, there was a pizzeria in Germany. They got the contact data, they delivered pizza, the person didn't like it. And they saved the contact data and they started to sell them advertisement. And then the person asked them once, unsubscribe, 2, unsubscribe, 3, unsubscribe. They didn't care, so the person got angry, they filed a claim, Data Protection Authority looked at this company, they went to their offices, they investigated what these people are doing, and finally this small pizzeria company had to pay almost 500,000. I mean, it was a network, yeah. So the money was around, yeah. But still, it was really bad for them. And money. As a company, you want money. So if the customer feels you're doing creepy things, they can walk away. And creepy things means actually only one thing. They give you some data, be it insurance data, bank, or whatever, yeah. If you process this data only for this purpose, for which you have received it, then you're already good. And if you can show them that you do it in a secure way and most likely nobody will steal it, double check and you're green, yeah? Okay. Now, for trustful partner, yeah? What does that mean? So you basically, I'm simplifying like a little bit, but you have the training data in like almost any AI application. If it's supervised learning, you have that. If unsupervised, no. But a lot of like AI applications, they do have some training data, be it automatic routing or something, yeah? Or insurances. So you need to have a look, and it's not always very obvious where does this data come from. So if insurances, they collect this data, yeah, but sometimes people use public sources. Sometimes you can go and buy data, and there is so much out there, like in CSV files, yeah. And especially when you buy data, do you have a valid license? So there are licenses which are sticky. So if you use this data, you also have to expose the results in the same way. And this is not what you want as a commercial company. So yeah, and completeness. If you have this particular use case, your data might be complete. But if your business suddenly will start to sell this data for other purposes, yeah, if you will have another product, it might be that you will need more training data, and it's important to recognize it. Otherwise, you will run into biases. So the model, yeah, you sit down as a data scientist, and you say, okay, good. We really need to write down, and write down helps really a lot, which of the biases we can expect. there are wanted biases or expected biases, there are unwanted biases. And unwanted biases, they are really bad because if the customer will discover them and come to you and say, yeah, you will have to act, and revalidating the model, retraining the model, it may take months. So you really have to, you really want to have transparency on this one, yeah? Then, and the interesting thing is like when you know these biases, yeah, and you run the test against your model, and suddenly you recognize like, the model fails. Like there was this famous example of I think Google, yeah, today they mentioned it in one of the talks that 2 African Americans were classified as gorillas, yeah. So it's clear like not enough input data, so and you need to adjust the algorithms and so on. So if you detect a fail, what's the process? So what do? Do you revert to the previous model, which apparently worked, or maybe not? Yeah, so you need to retest the same example on the previous model. So basically, this catches by surprise so many data scientists, so many companies. If you fail and you're like, okay, yeah, but we don't have any other model, yeah, what do we do? Okay, output. It's very simple, yeah. You take a look. Do you do any kind of profiling? Profiling can be very simple. So like in spam, profiling is it spam, is it not spam? That's not a big harm. Automatic decision making. What's automatic decision making? Print it, trash it, yeah? For spam filter. So no risk, no, absolutely. Profiling in the sense, insurance company, you compute the rating of the insured person, and then automatic decision making, will it take place or not? Yeah, so will you automatically assign a certain rating to a person? And if you have biases and so on, how this plays with this one, yeah? Will you maybe make bad decisions on that? So automatic decision making is like if you have a bull and you have the red towel, yeah, in front of his nose, this is automatic decision making. So be very, very careful. What you decide, it's basically, there is a fork of, okay, you may harm the individual financially or health or so, or you don't. Yeah, spam filters don't harm, insurance, health data, credit card data, and so on harm. And the last one, the usage, the impact. Yeah, so here you write down, okay, the impact on my employees, the impact on the customers can be like that. Yeah. Currently, the Instagram investigation is running that apparently they did a study on ethical aspects of profiling of individuals. So based on profiling of people in a younger age, so youth, yeah, they do automatic decision making, what to show to people, and they discovered that impact that this type of profiling increases the probability of suicide. It's quite a harm, yeah. So if this is the fact, then you go back to here, you go back to that, yeah. Yeah, and transparency. I mean, obviously, especially in social media area, yeah, we have no idea what they are doing, so it's pretty intransparent. So. And you know, in daily life, this is not a rocket science. Yeah? It can go very wrong and very quickly. Cases like that, like you know, a data scientist, they got a problem reported like that one. Yeah, like an image was classified in a different way, as expected. He was like, "Oh my god, yeah." So he would do like an SQL dump or whatever. Yeah, if it's QL storage, some other type of dump. Yeah, from production DB. To like, and this database might contain the score index of credibility of people if it's insurance company, yeah. So somebody reported that credibility score is way off. I work 100%. I have normal salary. My credibility score is like 10%. Not okay. So data scientist thought, oh, I'm sorry. I need to fix the model. I need to test it. So he copied this data to his laptop. It was not encrypted. He lost it in a train. Yeah, and I mean, this kind of scenario, if you have ever worked in a bank or something, yeah, this one will not happen to you because they grab you by security like crazy, and everything is encrypted and everything. Yeah, no access to production databases, but in startups, in smaller companies, it definitely happens, and there are many cases out there. Yeah, and to give you like also a comparison where it goes in terms of like AI application, yeah, insurance, they are taking all their data about all the cases which they know. They obviously it's an input data. The method which they apply, it's normally like pretty sophisticated, but it's statistics. Yeah, nowadays it will be now AI. Yeah, but in the past you went to University of Zurich, you studied mathematics, you were a statistician. Now you are an AI expert, reborn. Yeah, so the insurance tests it on a representative set of cases, and the output is just advice, yeah, to a security broker. So manually, they decide, okay, good, yeah, but his credibility score, but also family, and so on, yeah, good. This every one of us knows, yeah. Another one is deep learning in startup, yeah. You took the input data, public data sources, you applied the method, and because we all came from studies and it was so cool, 10 to 15 layers of neural network, no idea how this network deep learns that. We tested it in the sense we took a look, like some samples, yeah, we took a look, yeah, okay, it looked good, yeah. And then the startup, because the marketing is so great and the sales also, and you have personal connections, you sold it to an insurance company and they used it to advice on security score or for credibility score or some health data or something, yeah? And here again, are you serious, yeah? So this is not too far away from each other, you know? And here on that side, this can happen way faster than we want. So I promised you at the end of the presentation to tell about that one, yeah? So how did it happen to me? I hate them. There is a common opinion that like this whole social media stuff, not only Facebook but all others, that they spy on us, you know, through the microphone. Yeah, there are very very loud voices that it's actually only a conspiracy theory. I don't know 200%, but I actually believe these experts. And why? The reason is because there are way cheaper sources to do everything what I have told about. So how did it happen? My friend bought this device. Yeah. For his friend for the birthday. Then his advertisement ID from computer was stored in the advertisement network. So there are these servers which match and classify you, yeah, and profile you. He got most probably this watch window tag, yeah. Then his advertisement location was locked because on one of the tabs somewhere in Chrome, he clicked on, okay, maybe it was Google Maps or something, yeah, like, okay, to use my location. Good. Then, so they had his advertisement ID with location and watch window. Then, when I was at his place, I had to look up how to drive back, so if there are any traffic jams or something, yeah? So this app caught my location, and my advertisement ID is from the phone. I mean, we all have it like hard-coded into the mobile phone, into the SIM card, yeah? So my advertisement ID was associated with his location of his home. Then the advertisement aggregator matched that and said, oh, okay, nice. So if he is in the same location, that might be he is interested in the same type of products. If you take a 20 to 12 store case house, yeah, they might assume that this is pretty expensive. So there might be a neighborhood where people with money live. So they might also wear similar watches. Yeah, and they assumed basically that I don't have it, but I might be interested. And because I didn't click on any of these links, they disappeared like a week later. Yeah. Yeah. So, and this is also what happened to the congressman. They also digged into details on that, yeah? Good. So, if I need to leave you with one message, being like, build it, it will crash, and we will repair it. Yeah, this was the paradigm of the past. So here it's just recapping this schema. Just be aware of your input data, be aware of these biases which your model has, profiling or no profiling, what do you do on automatic decision making, and which kind of impact you produce, and especially tell it in a simple language, understandable language to the user by addressing their concerns instead of trying to tell about your beautiful data science model which only the data science team in a company understands. That's it. Yeah, thank you for listening to that. We have like 10 minutes for questions. If you have, please go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I have a question myself. So we talked about these issues, and one of the problems was misinterpretation by others. This happened to me once. I helped some people who had trouble setting up a Jupyter notebook, which used a face depixelator machine learning algorithm. But the community on GitHub, or a lot of people, got really upset because it was during the time of Black Lives Matter, and they were crying around that the police would use this to catch people in the Black Lives Matter movement. But they did not understand that obviously we cannot reverse pixelation. We're just guessing how the face would maybe look like. So how does one address and clear these things up with people?
It's a wonderful question. Maybe you were in the keynote today in the morning. So, and when Fabian was talking about the COVID app, this was exactly the same issue, because in the COVID app they used a decentralized storage and encryption and anonymization and so on. There is no way like a central authority can track you and everything. Yeah, but publicity didn't provide enough information. So this COVID app was receiving so much critics, and everybody who basically looked into GitHub code, and it was everything published, on GitHub. So it's the same issues, like lack of publicity. I think you actually cannot. So if you put something outside, you cannot think about all possible applications. Yeah. So it's not basically your role as a person who published something. There are also machine learning research, which you can use it as a pretty big harm. Yeah. And they will always cry about it. I think who must take this role is the same entity as the entity who publishes all the laws. Like not only to restrict but also to educate. So in Black Lives Matter, it was a big topic in the United States. Actually, the authorities had to tell about what are the actual risks and point the attention there, instead of just this is a random spike. Yeah, I don't feel it's on your side.
And maybe to follow up, when the EU now starts to make such laws against AI, does this prove their not knowing what AI is, that they just restrict AI while statistics can do similar harm, but they explicitly go against AI?
And two things about it. One thing is that they actually expanded it to statistics. Okay. Yeah. So it's AI, statistics are now also AI. But second, actually, so what they did with GDPR is really not that good. They have many provisions there which are not implementable, so to say. In AI regulation, they actually did a very good job, because they also had a series of a working group of entrepreneurs who are from AI companies, and I know a couple of them who worked with the European government to put this regulation together. So I'm actually looking forward to that instead of being upset.
And my last question before I give others the chance for questions again. If we have public data, would you rather ban the data itself, like the public data set we had here, or the interpretation that could be abused? And if you ban the interpretation, why would you ban it if anyone else could come to the same conclusion using the same data?
I would ask the audience who would ban hammers. A hammer, like usage of or selling of hammers. Yeah, like in Obi you can buy a hammer, and I think it is the same, because everybody can use a hammer to repair the house. Everybody can use a hammer to kill a person. So the usage is restricted. So you should not use hammer to kill people. And the same is with data. So public data is of a big use. The abuse of this data should be prohibited. But if somebody is doing that in a garage, whatever, yeah, and then sell it on a black market with bitcoins. It is the same as using any of the tools which you can buy in the physical world for any crime.
Okay, that's a great analogy.
So thank you for the talk. And I have a question in terms of the data source. So you bring this example about the watch, right? So the company was collecting information from you. Do you believe that in the future a way to reduce this risk of angry persons starting a lawsuit with companies, like if we can actually sell our data or get some benefits from the data? For instance, like if the company find out that based on my location, I am able to buy this watch, I mean, of course I will buy it, but perhaps he can offer me like a discount or something in order to pay me back that he was using my data for free. But I mean, I also get like a win-win situation where I also monetize my data. Do you think that can be a future, or is just an utopia that will never happen? Or
I always have to think about a couple of examples. Like imagine a mother or a father dealing at home in the evening after work with two maybe crying babies. Yeah, how much time does this person have when they need to purchase a pizza or whatever to read through privacy policy, terms and conditions? Yeah? And I think the Gauss curve, I mean the famous bell, yeah, it is what is very important for this case. So there will be some privacy professionals or people who studied machine learning, computer science. Yeah, you would look into this type of stuff, and there will be people who will like, I sell all my privacy on the right side, yeah, and the bell is important. And what they want to do is actually that in your browser, you will have the default settings, which will be also default when installing the browser, which would basically protect your privacy per default completely, and you can still then allow certain things. And this is a first step towards saying, yeah, I will allow because I will earn. So direction that we will start to earn when basically selling or giving away our privacy data. Yeah? But I totally don't believe that every person, will educate themselves.
On that, I think I took a course about e-business law, and I was wondering, I think about the legality of restricting a service if you don't provide them data. Like, I think I think it's illegal, but some actually do. But maybe I'm wrong. But how can YouTube, who lives off these ads, that's their model.
Yeah.
If you now restrict their access to data, can they say, then I cannot give you content?
This is an absolutely totally nice question, because it's very highly debated. So the answer is very simple. If you pay for the service, you pay money, then they provided the service. You pay for Netflix, they provide you the video. They are not allowed to use your data for any kind of advertisement or sell your data, whatever. Yeah. If the service is free, then actually you are the product. Yeah, you are the dinner. So they must be transparent what they do with your data, and they are allowed to prohibit you from service for the main functionality. So if I say, okay, I will use this email client, which is free, my personal data, which I will give you, are emails, contact numbers, and so on. Yeah. So they are not allowed to prohibit me from the service if I will not additionally allow them to sell my data for advertisement and so on. Yeah. They have to give me this service, but they can reject if I say no, you are not allowed to have my contact list. I mean that doesn't work. Yeah. Email client has to have contact list. Email client has to have emails. Yeah. This you have to give.
But does this extend to ads? Ads are not directly. So
definitely not. No.
Okay.
Does it extend to the States? I mean, we're talking about YouTube. They don't follow the same laws than we do in Europe.
United States, you mean? Oh, these guys are just beautiful. You know why? Because Europe went through 20 years of very painful experience. Namely, they introduced 20 years ago. They introduced a data protection act in each individual European country. So every single business which was operating in Europe has to cope with 27 different laws. Yeah, and then after 20 years, 15 years, they realized, oh, it doesn't work very well. So they sat together for 5 years and they created GDPR. And GDPR basically overruled all these cows. Yeah? Now, United States. They have already California Data Protection Act. A couple of other states have enacted it recently. 8 other states have a draft. And the government, and California did it because they were waiting for Federal Data Protection Act, and the government just not moving fast enough. So America now, if you are in California, you are totally screwed up. If you are in any other states, they start to look a little bit more defensive, and they will end up in the same absolutely situation as Europe, because the direction is absolutely clear. So I would not, if you run a business, I would not bet on like, in America you can do whatever you want. Yeah, like even China enacted data protection law 2 weeks ago. I was like, wow, yeah, the world is moving.
But then coming back to your statement from before, if I'm using a service which is paid, an American business is not restricted to, or they can still sell my data even though I'm paid.
Great catch. If you are a European citizen, like European, not Switzerland, unfortunately, yeah? If you're a European citizen, then GDPR applies with everything what makes them a terrible pain, regardless of whether it's American company or not, and you are served even by Google Ireland, not by Google US in California.
My American friend gets its data sold if he's paying and I'm paying as well, but my data is protected.
Yeah, exactly. In America, they sell his data, here not. And in Switzerland, next year, there will be Data Protection Act, new one, after 20 years of silence, which will be more or less like equal to GDPR. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the possibility when they call me on the phone to tell, guys, right to be forgotten. You know, if they try to sell you an insurance or some other creepy service starting from July next year, you can tell them, guys, first of all, I want to really know where you have my data from, and you have to tell it to me. Second, right to be forgotten. I don't stretch my middle finger, yeah, but it's kind of what I'm thinking about. You have to forget about me for the rest of your life. Yeah, it's a nice future, yeah. Good, guys, thank you for being here.